Okay, continuing with the install of the air ride. I'm sorry, I haven't picked up my phone because not that I was frustrated, but it was a little difficult figuring out how I was gonna set this up, even though this is gonna be temporary. The tank that I picked up didn't have necessarily a mounting bracket, so I was figuring out how I was gonna set everything up, how I was gonna mount everything, at least just for now. And routing the lines, this for my first time doing this, finding ways where to run the lines where they weren't gonna touch anything or rub or get crushed or anything. Not that it was difficult near the rear of the car, but near the front was a little bit, let's just say I have no experience, put it that way. But I found some ways, so I have those done. The fronts are in, the hoses, the lines are up near the rear seats. I still have to do the rear, but I figured why not jump on the setup here. So it's a your basic setup going on here. This will not, it won't stay this way, but for right now, this is what it's gonna be. Compressor going into the tank. I'm not using the air or the water trap because it's big and I think it leaks. Although the system did not leak while it was in the car, but I think that's just because the manifold kept everything sealed. So for right now, I'm not going to run that. I'll get one in the future. It's probably going to be wind noise. It's windy out here. I'm going to get one in the future and put it in line when I find the final location and setup, because I obviously want to clean the tank, polish the tank, or paint it or wrap it. Who knows what I'm going to do, but I'm going to do something to the tank. So this is just temporary for right now. This is probably the way it's going to be in Helen, unless I figure out a different way to mount everything. So that's it. The line is ran there from the manifold to the tank, so it's not a huge big deal. I still need to run the wiring, but that's gonna be quick, so it's pretty much just gonna sit in the trunk in the back there. Once that's in here, temporarily mounted, then I'll run the lines for the rears, probably down the rear seat through the hole to the rears, and then run the wiring, and we should be done. This week has been super hectic. Or should I say the last couple weeks have been super hectic. That's why the car isn't done. I don't have an extra set of hands, and I'm working on it when I get home in between everything else. Like some of you may know that we're in the process of buying a new house, so don't really have time. We've been running around left and right, here and there, just doing house things and coming home from work and taking, just life things. So having the car being put in the back burner is not necessarily a bad thing or a good thing, but there's just other things to do right now. So I'm finding the time today. I'll do some today, as much as I possibly can. Tomorrow is like, the dog has to go to the vet, so it's like, that's a couple hours taken up right there. So I'm just gonna squeak in some time between now and the end of the week to get it done, because you might want to see it done, but not more than I do. But more so than that, I want to drive the car. Can't drive the car when it's up on the jack stands. So there, want to bring it out, wash it, drive it, enjoy it. So bear with me. I'm not doing a step-by-step like I said I would, because air ride on the Mark III is not new, but I'll just try to highlight the key points. So yeah, let me get finished with the trunk setup, put it in here and run some lines, and I'll get back to you guys when that is done. Okay, so air lines are finally ran and secured in place. Now and they're connected to the manifold, so now all I have to do is run the wiring, which I'm about to do right now, and the wire harness and the controller, and then you can turn it on, see if there's any leaks, pressurize the bags, and see if they work. Man, I gotta tell you guys, for about a solid 10 minutes, I sat here just staring at the trunk before I ran the rear lines with, like, I don't know if it's like, only thing I can describe it is like writer's block, which is weird. Like, I'll just get a creative block sometimes, and then I'll just stop, pause, and just have to sit there blank-minded, not thinking about anything, not thinking about what I need to do, just blank-minded, and I gotta snap myself out of it sometimes. So once I got out of that, it was pretty much easy to mount the tank, mount the compressor, the manifold, and start running the lines. I don't know, I've always had that issue where sometimes when I'm doing something, like, it'll take me a few minutes to get the picture in my head, because the picture is the blueprint to me. So once I figure that out, everything else is just easy. So once I get that mental picture of what I want to do and how I want it to look, then I can just mow on through. But sometimes I lose, I don't know, man, creativity or whatever it is. I don't know how to describe it, but I'll lose that, and then I can't do anything, and I'll just sit here and just stare at whatever I'm doing. So I didn't want to record that, so that's why, I didn't. And why I didn't record much of me going through a little bit of the frustration I had with running the lines and everything like that. But I'm cool now. Look at this. Look at this. Thought I was ready, you guys. Spiders. Anyways, so yeah, I told you what I'm gonna do. Now I'm gonna go do it. See? Here's one of those things. Like, I didn't think about when I set the compressor across from the manifold that the wiring was like this, because I completely forgot, because it's been sitting in a bag for about 2 weeks. So that's gonna stay for now. I'm not touching that. I'm gonna separate my trigger wire or ignition wire, run that up to the fuse box. The power and ground will get trimmed to an extent or just hidden and connected to the battery, and run the control wire up to the front as well. Maybe I'll bust down this whole harness wire here and run the pink and the control wire next to each other. That should be okay. Since it is... Uh-oh. Where's my tools? It is power time. Break out the 30 amp inline fuse. Just gonna use this to hook into the positive side of the battery, obviously. And I completely forgot I had one of these terminals, so I don't need a ring terminal for the positive. For the negative, I might just shove it in the wire there, or see if I have a ring connector and hook it onto that. But I'm glad I have this. I gotta look and see if I have another one. If I have another one of these, that'll make life a lot easier. All right, so power is ran. Pretty much all I have to do is stick the power in there. First, we're gonna hook up the ignition wire or the trigger wire. That's why I have this. This thing creates a circuit. You just find this way better than just jamming a wire around a fuse. So what this does essentially is you put, there you go. You put this in line of whatever fuse. In this case, I'm gonna use my fuel pump. You put this in place of that, and then you'll put the fuel pump fuse back in, obviously. And then you'll pick whichever fuse you want to use. I think I'm gonna use, what is it? I thought there was a 10 amp fuse here in the back, and you can see the wire goes through that. So in fact, we'll create a circuit for the air ride. 10 amp fuse in here, the fuel pump fuse back in its almost location up front, and there we go. The ignition side of everything is also fused. I recommend using a fuse for any powered that you're adding to your car. Amps, obviously, air ride, this of course, anything, lights, anything of that sort of mix that needs power. Always put a fuse. It's always good. That way, if the fuse pops, if anything goes wrong, and you save the equipment and you save your car. All right, let's see if I can get down here to show you guys. There's a new circuit right there. Extension with the butt connector, ignition wire. I'm gonna strip this back, plug it in, and zip tie it up so it doesn't fall out or I don't kick it when I'm hitting the clutch, and we'll be good. Okay, got the fuse situation up front tackled. I'm gonna find an Allen key and get the power wire in, and then turn the car on and see what happens. Power is connected. I'm gonna trim that and get that ready. I feel like this is such a hack job because nothing is like secure and where it's going to be. This is just gonna be the test to run it and make sure everything works. So I'm gonna take a break, get some dinner, come back out and check to see if all this works. Okay, well, back outside. Hook up the controller. Everything is hooked up as of now. Let me see. What's like that. There's that. Now, if I put the key in, if I do this, there's that. I don't know what's gonna happen. Maybe I should read the instructions. Let me read the instructions. Alright, so this is where I am at. I hooked everything up. I thought was working. For some reason, the compressor will not kick on startup. If I run the compressor straight to the battery, it works, so I know it's not the compressor. The controller is reading the PSI in the tank, so I doubt that it's the wiring, but it could be. I'm not getting 12 volts at the pink wire, which should be connected to the positive of the compressor when you turn the system on. So that leads me to think that maybe the relay has died. Now, would it have died since I bought the car and brought the car home? I don't know. It's possible, highly unlikely, but the compressor did kick on when I went to buy the car. So that leads me to believe that it was working or was intermittent or whatever the case may be. I don't know. So yeah, where I'm at right now is, I guess I'm going to, I don't know, replace the relay. See if I can find a relay around town that's gonna be close to the specs of this one, and then replace it. If that doesn't work, then I don't know. And I messed up my wiring. I'm not sure why I did that, because when I stuck wires in these leads and connected to the battery, it worked. So, but that's not a problem. I can redo that. But the compressor is not turning on, so that's where we are tonight. Yeah, so there's that. I'm gonna call it a night. I don't feel like dealing with this anymore. Tomorrow I will look for a relay, see if that fixes the problem, and just go through the instructions one more time. Maybe I'm not getting a strong enough turn on signal, but I doubt that that's the problem, because when I use a regular fuel pump fuse, the system does not turn on. When I use the fuel pump after run fuse or whatever, or the instrument light fuse, the system turns on. Still just no compressor. So I don't know, there's an issue here somewhere. If you know anything about air ride, let me know. If yeah, so that's it. I'll see you guys in the next vlog. Peace.